Okay, in this video, let's take a look at Sei Young Kim's golf swing. Very cool golf swing. Has some similarities, believe it or not, to Martin Laird's golf swing, who won on the PGA Tour this week. But she won over the weekend, the KPMG, PGA, and just really cool golf swing. As she takes this club up, she has a very strong grip. She gets the club a little inside and very hooded, very closed club face. You can see that club face looking right down at the ground, mainly due to the real strong grip that she has. That is super closed going back, and she's not big. She's probably looking for power as a kid, and certainly found more power having a positioning of the club or the grip rather, where the left hand is really strong. And then it goes up, so it goes inward, then up, way up at the top there, and you can see the club face very closed, not a lot of hinge, little bowed wrist action there with the left wrist. And what that really requires is a different kind of release. Now we'll see the release really well from the face-on driver view, but here we can see some of the plane action, and it goes up, very shut, makes that classical great Tour Pro move coming down, lower body working into the ground, getting it right back on a really good plane here. A little bit under the plane coming in, and then she really releases it hard with that right hand coming through. Now this one has some flip over. You can see that as it goes through there. This club face has turned quite a bit as it goes through, which would mean maybe in this round she had less control of the golf ball, maybe not, depending on her timing, but you would see probably a square club face on some days where she has a little bit more control of that club face going through. This ball certainly took off straight, but whether it stayed straight or whether she was on track for this whole week, we don't know. But she does have a great release, what's called a right hand release, where you really slap it coming through versus rolling it over, and that gives you tremendous power with that sort of closed club face look. Now we go around to the front here looking at a driver. She makes a great pivot on the way back. So that's a strong grip going back, hoods it, keeps the face shut, and is really turning the hips and shoulders. Like, look at the shoulder turn at this point. That's nearly 90 degrees already. 45 degrees of hip turn already. So really winding behind that. And like I said, if you're the number one metric for hitting the ball farther for any golfer is to create a bigger turn in the backswing. So if you're struggling for power, get that full shoulder turn, that full hip turn. You'll have a chance to increase the length of your backswing. You can get a lot more power coming through. So there's the club face very closed, looking at the top. And now when she gets going, she gets that, like I said, hips going first, legs and hips, pressure in the ground, tons of lag. What a cool look that is coming down. And now watch as she comes through the hitting zone. At this point, the face is already square to the plane, so no need to roll it over, but to get power, you have to release it, which simply means the club must go hard from one side to the other. It has to get moving somehow across there to create the club head speed that you want. The fastest and easiest way to do that is to let the right wrist simply unhinge like you're slapping or hitting like almost like a ping pong shot. There, it's in the middle of the release. And now watch as it goes through how under that right hand is. It's completely bent underneath this way, which creates the full release and whip of the club head. Now over at this point, it looks like it's rolling over, which it certainly is, but as she actually strikes it, it's not. And so through this area at the bottom of the arc, as she's coming through from about here into this area, when that club face is square to the plane, you'll have great control. If her timing is a little bit off and she gets a little bit that's rolling versus slapping, then she can be in trouble. So if you're a player that has a strong grip and a shut club face, you must have a release that's a little bit different than other players to have control of that club face. From a case of speed and biomechanics, when we look at the sort of the linking of the kinetics here coming down, when she comes down and to get the power you want, the hips go, but then they have to actually decelerate at some point to create whip. And she actually decelerates her hips so much they actually go back the other direction. And you can watch the sort of the money clip there on the belt actually reverse its motion slightly, and then she goes through. And a lot of long hitters do that. A lot of players that are athletic and loose and free can do that. Nothing I could ever teach into a player, but it's fascinating to watch someone who actually reverses the hips like McIlroy slightly does as well, which gives you tremendous whipping action. Taking a look at the iron shot here for an approach shot. As this club works its way up, coming up very quickly, like we said, kind of reminiscent of Martin Laird's swing. Goes straight up like an old Tom Watson swing where it's more closed with a club face. Straight up in the air. And as it comes down, clearing out and really sending that club to the left along the plane. And with a closed club face, it's technically square coming into the ball. That's obviously where you want to be. If we put the plane line in where she started, if she can return it to there, the weeks that she is returning it to that kind of plane, like you see there, she's going to be very successful. And even though she has some gyrations, look kind of funny at the end, she's kind of hanging on to it on some shots. This one, she doesn't move around too much, but some of them, she looks like she's sort of giving it the body English to try to guide the ball. You can tell it is right back on the plane at impact and through the left side of the plane, which gives her amazing control of the club face and directional control of the golf ball. This is a shot at 18, last shot of her day yesterday. And like I said, as she comes through, sort of just hanging onto that club, a little bit of a funky looking swing on the way through there. But just kind of leads to sort of the athleticism of the player. She's coming down, trying to control that golf ball, maybe the flight or trajectory, and really using her athleticism to control the club face and the hands and the arms to give her the shot she's looking for. And it might look awkward, but it was, produced a beautiful shot, came right in there by the flag. And typically when you see players that do swing the club and the arms up on a higher plane at the top, when you see the left arm get up on sort of the shoulder plane, as we call it, they tend to have a little more armsy action through the hitting zone at times. Not always, but they tend to have sometimes where the hands are a little more involved and thus maybe less consistent compared to some other players. When they're on, however, they tend to hit the ball extremely close to the target, which ends up being birdie after birdie. And one of these days we'll take a look at some of the putting strokes of these great pros, and I love the way she putts. She has a very athletic looking putting stroke as well. But for this video, we're just going to wrap it up here, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Great win by Sei Young Kim. So much fun to look at her swing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.